Turning 30 recently, I thought, you know, I'm gonna reflect on my past, see if I'm truly shooting for the stars that I once wanted to. And I thought, I'm gonna look back at all of my astrological readings I've had in the past. None. Because guess what? I think it's a bunch of hullabaloo. I did before I met Bess Matassa.
You can probably recognize your sun sign here, which is what most people know, and your sun over here is placed in Taurus. There's a symbol of Taurus. And all of these other guys in this inner wheel are your different planets.
Now what Bess Matassa is doing is in New York City, she is combining her love and studies of geography along with her studies in astrology.
It's not your fate, but it's here are these energies you're working with, and how do you want to explore them? What kind of journey do you want to go on? So I take clients to sites in the city that I think are going to bring home these themes in a very physical, kind of material way.
You book a tour on her website. She charges $175 for a full walking tour. That includes all of this research that takes a lot of time to do.
It looks like one of those kid coloring things, right? Yeah. The crayons are sold separately.
What I got was a thing unique to me that tells me about my star reading, and the only other person who shares the same exact traits that I do is somebody that was born at the exact same minute, at the exact same place, on the exact same date. Aptly, this is titled Street Signs. So the location she chose for me was Dumbo, Brooklyn. It's a very sort of industrial area. It's right in between two big New York City bridges, the Manhattan Bridge and the Brooklyn Bridge. It's very loud. It's very rough and sort of urban, but then there's some quiet little beautiful places in there. Not unlike me.
Our moon sign is really our nature. Aries is fed through challenge. It's fed through ferocity. It's fed through like a sense of friction.
Before you think that she doesn't know me, she took me to a boxing gym. Gleason's boxing gym in Dumbo, and I felt right at home.
One of the real challenges of this moon in Aries is picking your battles, you know, and knowing when to fight for yourself.
But then she brought me to an archway under the Manhattan Bridge. Cool little spot with actually a tiny little lighthouse that I never knew existed.
I wanted to take you here to talk a little bit about your Saturn return, which is a moment in your life where you're looking back upon the structures that you've built up until this point and deciding what stays and what goes.
I might be a little less productive in the coming weeks because she told me, hey, take a break and take some quiet time.
Everything that you said sounded really positive, but I did some research too about your sign, Taurus. According to Zodiac astrology.com, some of your weaknesses are being stubborn, laziness, possessive, materialistic, self-indulging.
It wasn't all positive. I'm glad you brought that up because it really wasn't. She also brought me to Jane's Carousel, which is this beautiful carousel in between the two bridges, and she sort of insulted me. She wasn't like, you're a beautiful carousel. She was like, you know, sometimes you get stuck in the fantastical world and you lose sight of reality, which isn't necessarily a positive thing.
But that's a good thing here.
What they're saying about this sign in general has maybe nothing to do with Tara. Take it or leave it, but the true believers are going to believe in something that's very specific and unique to each of us.
I'm a Taurus too. Me and Tara are definitely bulls. We're stubborn, but we'll fight you.
Okay, so it is accurate.